This is video of Confederate General Albert Pike's statue being torn down in Washington, D.C. on the evening of the Juneteenth celebrations. Now, this is where a group of protesters, mainly rioters who have intermingled their way into the protest, toppled the statue, spray painted Albert Pike's face, and as you can see here, lit the statue on fire. Now, let me start this off by letting you know this is not something that I advocate or am in favor of. The toppling of all these statues, I think, is absolutely wrong. There are a lot of bad things about what some of these men did in history. There's good things that happen in history, and there's bad things that happen in history. And when you remove the memory, the history of the bad things that happen, you leave a void there. And that void is eventually going to be filled with those very same bad things happening again. As they say, those who don't understand history are doomed to repeat it. So I think that things like this are despicable. We can't be just erasing the memory, especially of the bad things that happened in the past. So I think it's quite interesting that today Donald Trump chooses to pick this particular statue to stand up and fight for, to have it resurrected. It says here, Trump asks for toppled D.C. Confederate statue to be put back up. A statue of Albert Pike, who was a Confederate general and leader of the Freemasons, was torn down and set on fire on the night of Juneteenth. So in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into looking at who this man Albert Pike was, what he believed, and we're going to get that information by going directly to the source. This is his book, Morals and Dogma, which many would consider to be the Bible of Freemasonry. I own a copy. I've read the entire thing. I don't recommend it. It's not an easy read. It's a rather difficult read, but nonetheless, I have read this, and I've gained a great deal of understanding about who this man was, what his vision for Freemasonry and the future was. And I think it'll give you a lot of insight and make you wonder why President Donald Trump chose this particular man to stand up for, to have his statue resurrected over all the others. So we're going to cover that and much more in this video, guys. But just before we do, I'd ask that you check us out here on pressfortruth.ca/donate. If you want to contribute to my efforts to bring you this type of information, you can do a one-time donation with PayPal by clicking on the PayPal link here. You can click on this Bitcoin banner to contribute Bitcoin. You can click on this Patreon banner to become a patron, or you can use the Patreon alternative here and sign up for a monthly reoccurring amount. Any amount is greatly appreciated. So if you are interested in getting involved and contributing to my efforts, please check the links in the description below to find out how you can do that. All right. So as I said, the statue of Albert Pike has been largely controversial for as long as it's been put up, essentially. It's one of the only Confederate general statues that is out in the public sphere, in the open. And as I said, this is the one that Donald Trump chose to have resurrected. As it says here, President Donald Trump personally requested that a statue of a Confederate general be put back up less than a week after cheering protesters toppled it and set it on fire in Washington, D.C. Remember, he personally requested this. Trump called Interior Secretary David Bernhardt and asked that the Park Services restore a statue of Brigadier General Albert Pike, two sources told NBC News. The White House did not provide comment, NBC News reported, but an Interior Department spokesman reiterated Bernhardt's call for law and order. The secretary has made his position quite clear when it comes to lawlessness, violence against police, and destruction of public property, the spokesperson said. The fight over statues and public memorials in the Capitol reached a boiling point this week, putting the White House, city officials, and protesters at odds with each other. Protesters surrounded D.C.'s only outdoor statue of a Confederate on Friday, the night of Juneteenth. They wrapped ropes around the statue and pulled until it fell. Then the statue was set on fire. News 4 cameras captured the scene on live TV. D.C. police officers were standing nearby as protesters took down the statue, which is on the federal land and under the jurisdiction of the National Park Services of the U.S. Park Police. The Pike statue, dedicated in 1901, has been a source of controversy over the years. The former Confederate general was also a longtime influential leader of the Freemasons who revere Pike. It was built at the request of Masons who successfully lobbied Congress to grant them land for the statue as long as Pike would be depicted in civilian, not military clothing. So this man is clearly highly revered. Here is the cover of the book. In Latin, it has the inscription Ordo ab Chao, which means order out of chaos. That is essentially their modus operandi. And you can see here on the first page, it says, Morals and Dogma of the Ancient and Accepted Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, prepared for the Supreme Council of the 33rd degree for the Southern Jurisdiction of the United States and published by its authority. It says here, entered according to the Act of Congress in the year 1871 by Albert Pike in the office of the Librarian of Congress at Washington. And I've read this entire book, as I said, and when I was done, I had a pretty good understanding of the philosophies of Freemasonry, how they instruct their initiates to understand these philosophies through indoctrination and ritual. And I've managed to discover something incredibly important that is laid out in this book that I need to show you today, guys. So for starters, here we have an explanation from Pike about how Freemasons are intentionally misled. It says here, the blue degrees are but the outer core or the portico of the temple. Part of the symbols are displayed there to the initiate, but he is intentionally misled by false interpretations. It is not intended that he shall understand them, but it is intended that he shall imagine he understands them. Their true explanation is reserved for the adepts, the princes of Masonry. So here we see Pike is obviously stating that lower level Masons are intentionally misled, and of course this book is only meant for those highest 33rd degree Masons to receive, where these truths are revealed to them. Now in this book, he goes on to explain what some of these truths are, and let's just get down to the philosophies of Freemasonry in what Albert Pike claims it should be all about. It says here, Masonry is a search after the light, period. That search leads us directly back, as you see, to the Kabbalah. In that ancient and little understood medley of absurdity and philosophy, the initiate will find the source of many doctrines, and many in time come to understand the Hermetic philosophers, the alchemists, all the anti-papal thinkers of the Middle Ages, and Emanuel Swedenborg. So here in plain English, it says, Masonry is a search after the light. Now, that sounds fine and dandy. You know, Masonry often says it's all about turning that inner coal into a diamond, bringing out the inner light. But who is the light? Well, the book goes on to say it is essentially God, and that's what Masons are instructed all throughout the lower levels. But it's not until you get to the highest level that you understand which God they are actually talking about. And here it is from Morals and Dogma, the Bible of Freemasonry, written by Albert Pike, the man depicted in that statue who Trump wants resurrected, says right here on page 321, Lucifer, the light bearer. Strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls? Doubt it not. There it is, guys. This is not me saying this, okay? This is coming directly from the horse's mouth. Albert Pike, the Confederate general who Trump wants his statue resurrected, is telling his fellow Freemasons, the higher initiates, that Masonry is a search for the light, and the light bearer is Lucifer, ladies and gentlemen. You see, because they believe that God is the bad guy and Lucifer is the good guy. You know, that the God of the Bible didn't want mankind to have the knowledge of good and evil, and, you know, it was the serpent who liberated mankind and freed them from the oppressive nature of God by by explaining to them that they can be like him, be like God by taking a bite of the apple. This is what they believe, guys. And this is the man that Donald Trump wants to have a statue of resurrected over all the others. All the other statues coming down, this one in particular is the one that he personally wants resurrected. You got to ask yourself, why? Why would a man like Donald Trump want to resurrect a statue of a man who thinks that Lucifer is the light bearer and Freemasonry should be moving towards that particular light? Again, not my words. I'm reading it directly from the horse's mouth. The man who wrote the Bible on Freemasonry, the man who Pike wants his statue put back up. He's highly revered in Washington, D.C. In fact, the statue of Pike is not that far from the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry, the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Grand Lodge of Freemasonry, which is located in Washington, D.C., I believe just 13 blocks from the White House and not far from the statue of Pike, is there. In fact, I went there and did a huge expose of this. Here we can see in this video titled Enter the House of the Temple, and in it I was granted access to this Masonic lodge. I went around and got all the footage of the inside of this 33rd degree Masonic lodge. Here's the altars. Here's where they do their, rituals. I have it all, guys. They even have a bust of Albert Pike in there. Here it is right here. Albert Pike, the bust of Albert Pike is in there. And not only the bust of Pike, but the body of Albert Pike is actually buried here. Underneath this particular building, the body of Pike is there to this day. So again, obviously these guys are highly, highly revering Albert Pike. Now, this video I put out quite a while ago, back in 2013, and following the release of my video inside the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry in Washington, D.C., exposing it for what it is, they no longer allowed anybody to film inside of there after I released that video. So I'm going to include a link to that video called Enter the House of the Temple at the end of this video. Make sure you watch it. And I'm going to continue to cover this issue because it's not only happening in America, it is actually happening in Canada as well. In fact, recently, my good friend Lee Stewart took part in the cleanup efforts of the Sir John A. Macdonald statue that was defaced here in Canada. Now, she's not in support of his past. She understands that there are some bad things when it comes to his past, but she also understands that it's just wrong to erase the memory of the bad things that happened in the past, because we will eventually be doomed to repeat those things if we just try to erase it from memory altogether. So just something I wanted to bring to your attention today, guys. Donald Trump is advocating for the Albert Pike statue to be resurrected over all the others. The man who is highly revered by Freemasons as a leader of Freemasonry, who taught that Masonry is a search for the light and Lucifer is the light bearer. Just let that sink in. Wanted to bring that to your attention today, guys. Please click this click the thumbs up on this video if you appreciate the information I'm bringing to the table here. And please share this video as well with your friends and family, and let them know that this current erasing of history is really Orwellian memory holing, and it's wrong. I disagree with it, and it needs to stop. But kind of funny that Trump would personally lobby for the Albert Pike statue to be erected out of all the others. Anyways, something I thought was pretty interesting and I should bring to your attention today, including my understanding of who Pike was, because I've read this. Again, I wouldn't recommend it. It's not an easy book to read, but I hope you were able to gain a little bit of insight into who that man actually was, especially considering he looks to be Trump's boy. Quite interesting. Anyways, just thought I'd bring that to your attention, guys. Once again, please click the thumbs up button, share this video if you found the information to be useful, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. truth will set you free.